morning, you're welcome to the Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. My name is Rome Paulson. How are you doing today? It's Friday, the 21st of February, 2025. All right, on today's breakfast show, we'll be looking at several hot topics, one of which is APC withdraws from Osun local government elections. So they've withdrawn from Osun local government elections. Another topic that we'll be discussing much later in the show is International Mother Tongue Day, and we're discussing why language matters today. We'll also be taking global stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies, as well as some top trending stories. But first, as usual, let's see our quote of the day. All right, and our quote of the day says, all life is an experiment, and the more experiments you make, the better. And that is according to Ralph Waldo Emerson, who went by his middle name Waldo. He was an American essayist, lecturer, philosopher, minister, abolitionist, and a poet who led the transcendentalist movement of the mid-19th century. And he says this morning, all life is an experiment. All life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. So of course, what this is telling you is you should go out and experience life. In a nutshell, experience life to the fullest, because life is an experiment. You try out new things, and the more things you try out, the better, because you start to get the hang of it. You start to get better at it. For instance, if I want to start making some wool, maybe a sweater or something, and I want to start knitting, the first time I would probably knit might not be the best time, right? But when I do it again and again and again, and I just keep getting better at it, because I'm now used to, having to use the pin and put in the wool, and it's just, in fact, I'll be faster, right? So that's just what life is about. You have to try out new things. You try it over and over and over again, and you get better at it. You get the hang of it. Are you experiencing life to the fullest? You know how the young ones will say you only live once. Well, it's Friday, it's a weekend, so it's important that you're trying out new things, you're experimenting. Nothing is off limits, as long as it's legal though. Nothing is off limits. Just try out the best, try out as much as you can, and you would always get better at it. I know that sometimes we can have a lot of curveballs, because that's what life is about. And especially when you're now an adult, you have so many responsibilities. You might start to think, you know what, I need to focus on my job before I go home and figure out what to eat. But guess what? I'm stuck in traffic the entire time. When do I have to start to experiment new things? Well, you can find the time. You can carve out a little time for yourself to say, I want to learn this. I want to do this. Just experiment. And that's what Ralph Waldo is saying this morning, Ralph Waldo Emerson. All life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better it becomes. And you want to have, a very good life. So definitely you should start experimenting today. All right, let's move over to our top trending stories. Our first one says, Edo Assembly passes road bills, relieves appointees. The Edo State House of Assembly have passed two significant bills aimed at improving road management in the state. The first bill establishes the Edo State Roads Fund, SRF, and the Edo State Roads Fund Board to oversee the development, rehabilitation, and maintenance of Class C and Class D roads. It also includes provisions for the rehabilitation of Class B roads across Edo State. The second bill creates the Edo State Rural Access Roads Agency, RARA, to handle the planning, reconstruction, and upkeep of rural roads in the state. Both bills went through a detailed clause-by-clause review and were approved by the House. These measures are expected to enhance the overall road infrastructure in the state, benefiting both urban and rural areas. Additionally, Speaker Right Honorable Blessing Agbegbako announced that all political appointees in the 8th Assembly have been relieved of their duties. Special advisors and senior special advisors will receive their February salaries, a decision made collectively by all 24 members of the House. The session was adjourned until Tuesday, the 25th of February, 2025. All right, this is what we love to hear. One of the things that we've always said has been a problem in Nigeria is our maintenance culture, and having to just ensure that all of the infrastructure that we put out there are maintained to the fullest, whereby we're not just spending money and before you know it, it starts to dilapidate and we start from square one again. So I love the fact that Edo State is championing several things. I think on Tuesday we had a conversation with the special advisor on media and publicity, and he told us, a lot of the things that were happening in Edo State, which, is amazing. And I love the fact that there is a governor who is putting it out there. I'm sure, of course, there are a lot of controversies with the current governor, but we can see the work, and that's what we want. We want a situation whereby, you're seeing a leader who's trying to ensure that there are certain things that are being done for the people. And one of these right now is, the first one they talked about, which really tickled my fancy, was the fact that they had put out an anti-cultism bill. And of course now they're already putting out about 2 road bills to ensure that, these roads are being constructed and they are maintained as well. So I love the fact that Edo State is championing things like this. This is what we want to see in other states as well. In Lagos, of course, Lagos is a cosmopolitan city. We have good roads, I want to believe, but sometimes you still see potholes and you're wondering, why are we not maintaining our roads the way they should be? I'm sure other states as well, Delta, I'm sure a lot of states have this problem, but it's important that what we're doing with our infrastructure, the projects, as we're awarding the projects, we should also be awarding awarding contracts to the people that are going to maintain this infrastructure. Do not just construct a road and forget about it, because guess what? There's erosion. There is the natural causes that's going to happen, which is making the road dilapidated. And we want a situation whereby the roads are maintained, because I cannot be driving my vehicle, and most times they would even ask you for roadworthiness, right? You're going to renew your vehicle license, and they're asking you for roadworthiness, and sometimes I ask the question, is the road worthy for my car? Because my car is okay, but the roads that you've constructed and not maintained are giving my car issues, and that's why you see a lot of accidents. So in a nutshell, kudos to Edo State government who is championing this. We hope other states can start to follow suit. Let's ensure that we're maintaining our infrastructure and we're not just having wastage. All right, another top trending story this morning comes from the Senate, and it says Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan Defies Senate leadership over seat change. Tensions erupted in the Senate on February 20, 2025 when Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan clashed with the leadership over a seat relocation. The dispute arose after a reshuffle in the Senate triggered by opposition members moving to the majority wing. Akpoti-Uduaghan's seat was reassigned, but she strongly resisted the move, citing her unwillingness to comply with what she viewed as an unjustified order. Chief Whip Senator Tahir Mungono defended the reshuffle, referencing Senate rules that grant the Senate President the authority to adjust seating arrangements. He warned that failure to comply could lead to penalties, including exclusion from Senate debates. However, when Akpoti-Uduaghan attempted to speak from her own seat, Senate President Godswill Akpabio denied her the floor, escalating the conflict. In a dramatic turn, Akpoti-Uduaghan defiantly declared, "I don't care if I'm silenced," in quote, "I am not afraid of you. You have denied me my privilege." The tension further escalated when Akpabio ordered the sergeant at arms to remove her from the chamber. Despite the uproar, interventions from fellow lawmakers helped restore order, though Akpoti-Uduaghan remained steadfast in her refusal to relocate. Okay, so this story is quite dicey because, of course, you have to see it from both angles. But first things first, as a Nigerian, what I'm thinking in my head, seeing a story like this is, you guys have been elected. You're lawmakers. You've been put there to ensure that you're making several laws that would benefit Nigerians. Why are we talking about seats? Why are we talking about a seat change? If your seat has been changed, move to the new seats and get down to business. Why is this even a conversation that needs to be had? Because come on, if maybe it's part of the law that says, when there's a majority, when some people have changed, maybe defected or whatever it is, we have to make this change, then you move with it. Why are we making this an issue is the first question. And that's what I am thinking as a Nigerian. I don't think this is what should even be out there for debate, right? But now let's come to, the people. Obviously, Natasha feels some type of way. Excuse me. Natasha feels some type of way because, I was here, you did not tell me, especially if she feels like maybe she wasn't given a memo or she wasn't given prior information to it, which is understandable. But still, you can decide that, I want to move here so I can speak. And now, you've been denied that. The Senate President, on the other hand, could have handled things a little bit better. Maybe allow her to speak or say, I'm going to listen to you now. When you're done, you have to go back to that seat. I'm not saying, pamper her or, the little nuances to it, but, sometimes it's just leadership and you just look at what's best, right? Not causing a stir, causing an uproar whereby everybody is now looking at what's going on and being distracted from the business of the day. Of course, some people will say Natasha obviously was throwing a tantrum and, screaming at the Senate President, which she's not supposed to do because that's, that's sort of verbal abuse. Like, why are you shouting? Why are you screaming? Why are you throwing tantrums? But you can still understand where she is coming from. So I don't know. It's quite dicey. It's quite dicey. But let's just listen to the audio. Let's just watch this video. Right, this has caused a lot of stir, in fact, a lot of debate on social media because some people have made it a gender war, but of course it's not that. Natasha here is just saying she wants to speak, she wants to be able to represent her people, and in fact, she has said that this is not the first time. I think she also mentioned that, one of the bills that she had brought to the House did not make it to second reading. So this is something to just open a can of worms. But I would say that, the Senate President should probably have just allowed her to speak and afterwards say, what, I've given you the liberty, which is, part of my leadership, to make a decision right now. And the decision I'm making is just to let you speak. But the moment you're done speaking, you have to obey the law, which is to go to the seat that has been allotted allocated to you. And of course, like I said, if there was a memo passed or if something had, prior information had been given, then she wouldn't have been taken by surprise. But also, Natasha is not a kid. We're not in secondary school. Come on now. I mean, if your seat has been changed, because I'm sure there's been a precedent to this, there maybe people that their own seats have been changed and maybe they just went there. It happens and you just move. So on both parties, I think both of them should have been able to handle this, differently, whereby it doesn't cause a stir, it doesn't cause an uproar in the house. And like I said, as a Nigerian, I'm just wondering, why is this even an issue? Please go there, pass the bills that would, benefit Nigerians. That's what you were elected for, not seat allocation, seat change, or whatever the case might be. Anyways, we hope that they're able to sort out their grievances, and we hope that the House of Assembly, or the Senate rather, would be able to, just coexist, live in peace and harmony, regardless of whatever political party, they're representing. Because at the end of the day, why you're there is to represent your people, not even your party or not even whatever grievances you have. You're there to represent your people, and you're there to ensure that your constituency is being heard and everything that you're doing benefits them back home. All right, enough about that. We move over to another top trending story. This says Babangida expresses regret over June 12 election annulment. Former military head of state Ibrahim Babangida expressed deep regret over his decision to annul the June 12, 1993 presidential election, calling it the most difficult period of his life. Speaking at the launch of his memoir, A Journey in Service in Abuja, Babangida acknowledged that the election won by Moshood Abiola was credible, free and fair. However, he admitted that the political environment led to the unfortunate annulment, a decision he now deeply regrets. Babangida took full responsibility for the events that unfolded during his administration, describing them as mistakes and missteps. He emphasized that all actions were taken in the national interest aimed at ensuring Nigeria's survival. Reflecting on the interruption of the nation's democratic march, Babangida reiterated his regret, but noted that Nigeria and its democracy remain resilient, a testament to the country's commitment to democratic ideals. The memoir also touches on other significant events in Nigeria in history, including the 1976 coup that led to the assassination of Murtala Mohammed and the 1986 letter bomb attack on journalist Dele Giwa. Former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who reviewed the book, echoed Babangida's sentiment, agreeing that the June 12 election was a pivotal moment and stated he would have handled the situation differently if he was given another chance. All right, Babangida, well, I like the fact that he has come out to, say this. Of course, I had, seen videos of his book launch whereby he was launching that memoir, A Journey in Service, right? But sometimes you wonder, like, why now? 1993 is a long time ago. That is over 30 years ago. In fact, that's 32 years. So in a way, it's like too little, too late. I mean, that has been done, the deed has been done. And if you're saying that you deeply regret this, it is important that certain decisions that we make can make or mar an entire nation, can make or mar us, can make or mar our society or the nation at large. And this is one decision that was made. In fact, in history, it's always been said that the most free and fair election that we've ever had in Nigeria, imagine, that is over 32 years ago. So even till now, we've not been able to replicate that type of election. Right now, you're seeing, INEC doing their thing, whereby IREV isn't working, whereby they bring beavers, that's not working, whereby many people do not even get their own voter's card. It's a mess. We've never been able to go back to 1993 to see how things were done and replicate it. So imagine the only ever credible, free and fair election in Nigeria was annulled by you. And now you say you regret the decision. Well, a little too late. Too little, too late. I know that many people can say, you know what, yes, it's understandable, things happen, but I'm glad that, you're coming out to say this at the moment. But what do we take from this? And this is where lessons need to be learned. All of you politicians, or, any politician, any person that is in a place of power, ensure that you are making the right decision, because it can affect an entire nation. That's what we see from here. So there's so many events that he also talked about. at the end of the day, it boils down to one thing: your decision. Make sure that that decision is something that will benefit people and not, cause something that can be catastrophic. Because imagine if, MKO Abiola had won, and he was the president at that time. That would have set something. It would have caused a chain of events. It would have set precedent to other elections to come. Because guess what? We will start to mirror what we've already seen. But not a case whereby even the most credible election was being annulled, and then of course another one was had, and it just makes it seem like it's okay to, be a joke, or it's okay to take election as something that it doesn't matter. We'll just, fix the people that we want. It is important that the people's voices are heard, and if you are going to conduct an election, again, INEC, I'm speaking to you right now, if you are going to be conducting an election, ensure that it's credible, ensure that, even the resident electoral commissioners that you're putting there are credible people. Make sure that the election can be free and fair. That's what we want. That's what would only, take us to the other side. That's what will only make this country flourish, because if the people's voices are heard, then the people that we're electing are probably transformational leaders that would change Nigeria for the better. All right, our final top trending story says U.S. ambassador denies claims of USAID funding Boko Haram. The United States ambassador to Nigeria, Richard Mills, has firmly denied claims that the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, is funding Boko Haram or any other terrorist group. Mills made the statement after a meeting with the Nigerian Governors Forum in Abuja late Wednesday, emphasizing that no country condemns Boko Haram's action more than the U.S. This clarification came in response to accusations by Congressman Scott Perry, who had alleged that USAID was funding terrorist organizations, including Boko Haram. Perry made these claims during a congressional hearing on February 13, which focused on government waste and fraud. Mills assured that the U.S. has strict policies to prevent any misappropriation of funds. He reaffirmed that the U.S. government would work with the Nigerian authorities if credible evidence of such activities was found, stressing that Boko Haram has been designated a foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. since 2013. This has obviously been in the press or in the news for a while now, which, yes, everybody's impressed with this. But the truth is, if there's any iota of truth in this, it needs to be investigated. I know that it's understandable for for him to come out and say, for Richard Mills to come out and say, oh no, we're not funding Boko Haram. What are we going to expect you to see? You're not going to come and tell us the truth if that was the truth. You're always going to find ways to, cover it up, sugarcoat it in some way. So the Nigerian government, this is where you have to ensure that you're doing proper investigation. In fact, there are, allegations that even some of the Nigerian government officials are the ones sponsoring this terrorist group for some weird reason that I can never understand. So you're killing your own people. It's just a mad world. Why are you killing your own people just because you have another agenda? What is that agenda? And it's not just in Nigeria. In fact, there are allegations as well that 9/11 that happened in the United States of America was by the American government. So basically, some governments just love to cause mayhem and look for a way to clean it up and say, oh yes, we're working. But that shouldn't be the case. If you are truly elected for a position, what you're supposed to do is ensure, the safety of your people, is to ensure your primary responsibility is to protect your people, not for you to kill your people. So honestly, if there is any iota of truth in this, Nigerian government, this is where you have to do really in-depth investigation. If you have to partner with other countries with their own intelligence, systems, do that, because we need to know where we are and we need to know what we're doing. Sometimes I feel like we probably need to cut off the Western world. We need to shut our borders. We just need to build our nation ourselves. Africa needs to wake up. The entire continent of Africa, we need to wake up, because we don't even know what these people are doing to us. We don't know the havoc that they're causing. So it's important that we wake up. We see what it is. Blueprint, like you're seeing everything and you're deciding for yourself which way to go. if there are people who are sponsoring terrorist activities in your country, you have to shut them out and ensure that your country is safe for your people, because the first responsibility that you have is not about how you look over, in the press. No, the first responsibility that you have is to your people and is to ensure their safety in whatever capacity that you can. All right, that's it for our top trending stories. We'll go on a short break. We'll look at the weather. When we return, we'll be reviewing the papers. Please stay with us.